Hello, and welcome to this presentation on the Cascade Green portfolio, Mosaic's most recent product innovation. Cascade Green offers new levels of investor security and peace of mind, unrivaled in this asset class through a pioneering approach to risk mitigation. So to understand what makes Cascade Green such an important development in the ownership of life settlements, let's look at the 7 components that summarize how a portfolio is constructed and then operates. First, there's the identification, qualification and selection of a number of settled life insurance policies. These are organized in a sequence of purchases and holding periods, and when each policy matures, the resulting payments fund further investment purchases. This allows investors to benefit from the uniquely secure and non-volatile nature of the asset class. The investment funds are allocated into a number of investment paths. Each path represents a generalized life expectancy range, and each path can contain multiple policy positions. The premiums needed to maintain each policy for the duration of the insured's life expectancy are placed into a unique premium reserve structure. Specifically designed to grow the allocated capital in the medium to longer term, the reserve aims to reduce or potentially eliminate the need for clients to meet future premium requirements should the life expectancy be exceeded. As each successive maturity occurs, clients have the option to request that funds are dispersed in part or in whole or reinvested into further policy positions that grow the size and diversity of the portfolio. By repeatedly reinvesting the funds arising from each maturity, the growing capital under management cascades over time. And as an asset with little or no correlation to standard financial markets, the Cascade Green portfolio offers the prospect of sustained compound growth of the invested principal and resulting returns. Having given you an overview, let's go through the key points of the portfolio in more detail. The policies that Mosaic acquires and which are offered to clients are all meticulously vetted. They can only be underwritten by the very best US insurance carriers, companies rated A or better by AM Best, the insurance industry's leading financial ratings agency. They must also be beyond their contestability period, and the insured must have a life expectancy of between 36 and 180 months. Clients receive 4 quarterly statements a year that track the account values and all the activity within the portfolio. As an investment designed to perform best over the medium to longer term, reinvestment following each maturity utilizes compound growth to increase funds under management and build diversification within the portfolio. But should circumstances require it, there is the option to request disbursement of part or all of the funds arising from a particular maturity. These factors translate into the following product advantages. Target returns of between 8 and 11%. Safety of the sum invested. No correlation to other more traditional markets. Diversification. Limited volatility. A passive investment. Peace of mind, knowing payments come from the US's top insurance companies. Regular and detailed performance reporting, and uniquely, a contingency reserve structure designed to mitigate or potentially even eliminate the risk of making future premium payments. Let's now look at the composition of a sample portfolio. An investment amount of $100,000 is used to acquire a selection of policies with life expectancies of between 30 and 102 months. In this table, we see the policies selected, their respective life expectancies, the total anticipated fixed return, the amount invested, and the anticipated payment upon maturity. The distribution wheel shows that funds have been evenly allocated to each policy within the portfolio. And finally, the life expectancy pie chart graphically shows how the various LE paths are made up and how much investment capital has been allocated to each. Taken together, and without any further reinvestment, this portfolio is targeted to deliver a fixed return of 58.66%, which works out as an annualized return of 12.6%. The subject of policy diversification merits a little further discussion at this point. This is achieved through the establishment of life expectancy paths within a portfolio. Here we see 3 path groupings, incorporating policies with life expectancies of 36 to 48 months, 49 to 72 months, and 73 to 96 months. Within each path, the frequency of anticipated maturity and the reinvestment into further policy positions shows that each generation effectively doubles the number of policies under management. This creates diversity by age, sex, insurer, the ailments and conditions of the insured, their life expectancy, and so on. The next important issue to consider is that of longevity risk mitigation, and how the Bank of Utah, Mosaic's independent escrow agent, is responsible for the funds allocated to the premium reserve account for each policy in a portfolio. These funds, which pay all the premiums due on a policy for the duration of the life expectancy, are calculated at the time that a policy is purchased. 60% of the money in escrow is allocated to maintaining a minimum reserve of 1 year's premiums at all times. The remaining funds are invested in liquid or near liquid instruments available through such options as the overnight money markets, short-term bonds, exchange trade funds, and certificates of deposit. The other 40% is placed in moderate to high-yield investments designed to facilitate the growth of the reserve's funds. While the premiums set aside for the life expectancy keep the policy in force, high-yield corporate bonds, green energy funds, and other more aggressive investments are employed to build sufficient capital in the reserve to potentially mitigate the twin risks of longevity and premium increases once the escrowed premiums have been consumed. The details of each policy in a Cascade Green portfolio are summarized in an asset disclosure exhibit like this. There are 4 separate sections which provide the following information: details on the insured, their age and gender, the projected life expectancy, the date that their life expectancy was prepared, and the name of the company that provided it. Next come details on the insurer, their name, their AM Best rating, the policy number, the amount of death benefit, the date of issue, and the policy type. Beneath this is a summary of the insured's medical history. And, finally, there are the financial details: the cost of acquiring the policy, the projected gain, the projected gross return, the premium escrowed through or PET date, and the projected annual return. Every potential investor in a Cascade Green portfolio receives their own customized proposal document. This summarizes the key features and benefits of the product specific to the investment objectives of the client and provides the graphic portfolio summaries that we saw earlier in the presentation: the policy analysis table, the policy distribution wheel, and the life expectancy pie chart. Once the client decides to proceed with their investment, their closing or ownership documents are all provided electronically in a confirmatory email and also via a personal login that can be set up on the Mosaic website. The documents provided include a letter of welcome, the certificate of purchase, the certificates of irrevocable beneficial interest for the policy shares that have been acquired, an opening portfolio statement, and a copy of the signed purchase agreement. And that concludes this presentation on the Cascade Green portfolio. If you have any questions on the content covered or any issues raised, please contact your local appointed Mosaic agent.